So I want to ask you about your study with evangelical Christians. It was a charismatic church.
Mm-hmm.
And you were trying to understand this whole business of what does it mean to experience God? What does it mean to talk to God? What does it mean when people say God talks back?
Right.
What did you start to understand about what they meant by this encounter with God?
Well, the striking thing, so I started doing this because I was doing another project, and I ran into this woman in Southern California with like a Beach Boys, blonde hair, faithful evangelical Christian who said to me, if you want to understand my God, you should have coffee with God. We should have a cup of coffee with him. So that was pretty interesting to me. And I located a church in which I could be a deeply immersed anthropologist, and they were happy to have me there. And I'm not foreclosing the possibility that God is present. And so what did I learn? I went to church for years, and I started listening to what people said, and then I started doing experimental work. The first thing I saw was that the way people talked about learning to know God was sort of the same way the magicians talked about getting magic. They did the same kinds of practices. They did this. When people prayed, they shut their eyes, and they used all of their inner senses to experience whatever they were praying about as being vividly present. Like my magicians, they were clear that their inner world became more vivid. So one woman said to me, "It's like PowerPoint now in my mind. My inner world has become more alive." They talked about the world being more interconnected. There being nothing happened by chance. There was a sense that that the world worked together for them. They did something. I began to notice that they did something different that I hadn't named with the magicians, but was true, which is that, and I'm really only starting to understand it now, people did two kinds of techniques. They used all of their inner senses. They also did what I'll call an as-if presence. So you are not only, people will sit in Jesus's lap, they'll go for a walk with Jesus, they'll stand in the throne room, they'll try to feel the heat from his power on their cheeks. But they're also imagining a conversation, a bit like an imaginary friend. They don't think that God is imaginary, but they do know that if you're going to represent a God, you've got to use your imagination because you can't see God. So you've got to use your inner senses.